Hello, Apps here from Dimp Digital. Welcome to Idle Game Chat. On this edition, we're here to review Devil May Cry 5. I've got the man of the moment. It's Tom Adkins, not Adcock. How's it going?
I am stylish.
Yeah? Is that
We'll
part?
come back to that.
Is that a reference to
That
Devil
is
May Cry?
part, yeah.
That's part of it.
Doesn't really. You wouldn't say to anyone that you're feeling stylish, though. We just, I fucked that already, no.
No, it sounds cocky, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
It's not really for you to decide if you're stylish. But,
No, that's true.
we are here, as I said, to review Devil May Cry 5. So, the fifth entry into, I guess, the mainland entries to this franchise. But we also have got DMC, which I believe was a reboot of, an attempted reboot of the series in 2013. But what is your background with... We know it's Capcom, and obviously Ninja Theory did DMC, but mainly Capcom. They've been on a bit of a roll recently, so I think we've been enjoying their more modern games. We've just started Monster Hunter World, and Resi 2 seemed to resonate with a lot of people.
Yeah.
But with Devil May Cry, have you played the previous four, and did you give that reboot a little spin as well?
I did, yeah. I think my earliest dabble was I don't think I owned it. I think I rented Devil May Cry on the PS2.
Cool.
Because that's when it came out. It was originally going to be Resident Evil 4. It was like a botched Resident Evil 4 idea, apparently.
Yeah, I've seen the early footage. Yeah,
that's it. They go, cool, well, fuck this.
New franchise.
So I chucked that out. And yeah, I remember dabbling. I must have been about, 12, 13 when it came out, I think. So yeah, had a vague, but never, like I say, never completed it or really cared about it back then. Then my first real dabble was on the Xbox 360. I bought number 4. I thought, fucking hell, I'm going straight in at number 4 here. Played through that, absolute loved it. And then soon after that, I think it was within like 6 months of that game coming out, they released a HD remake of the first 3 games. All PS2 games. And I've only just, a couple of weeks before playing this game, finished the 3rd entry. So I've played 1, 2, 3, and 4. And also, I think last year, I finished the remake as well. So I have always liked them, but they've been ones that I've sort of played for a bit and then never gone back to. And now I'm all up to date.
So, what did you buy this on in the end? Because was it Xbox One X or PS4 or went for Xbox One X?
Went with Xbox One X. I always did think, because it used to be a PlayStation 4, PlayStation exclusive on the old things. Then I think they sold the rights or whatever.
Yeah.
So the ones that I actually bought, I've never owned a Devil May Cry game on a PlayStation console.
So you're back on Sony, Alan Furious.
Yeah, and that's been much the case this year and most of last year, just because of that powerful console. That really draws me in. So yeah, I decided to get DMC5 on Xbox One X, which renders as a native 4K.
Lots of native 4K being rendered on that Xbox One X.
Yeah,
they're doing a decent job there. I did hear also, when I was just listening to a podcast on the way back from work, that on the PlayStation only version, there's a scene where someone is carrying a naked woman or a scantily clad woman or something. On the Xbox version, the PC version, it's fine, but on the PlayStation version in North America, I don't know if it's the same for Europe, it kind of lens flares her buttocks out.
Really?
So I don't know.
Amazing. I know the scene, but
so if you want a bit of arse, you get the PlayStation 4. Yeah.
Wonder if that's to do with like the Japanese, primarily a Japanese system, isn't it? And I know they have a lot of censorship with nudity.
Yeah, but they're also the ones that have those weird games that are like, are the girls even old enough that you sort of poke and prod? Like, they're not they're dirty bastards.
They
in
are.
some cases.
They are. Yeah, there's some real concerns with that perversion. My cup of tea, to be fair, but yeah, it's a weird one. But I know. Yeah, I wonder if it is that. But no, old Big Phil's like, fuck it, mate. Get that ass on my.
Can you blow that ass up?
Yeah.
We want that on. We want that in 4K.
4K
native
ass.
So with the past four, I'm primarily going to ignore DMC because it seemed like that was an attempt at a reboot, and it's a different direction of the characters, and people didn't.
I think the game, it was received really well because the game was really good, but it was such a sort of change in personality and stuff for the main characters that the fanboys really do rip it a new one. You know, if you look at the reviews of the games, it's like 90-something%, but just by going on the fucking Reddit page, people like the fans, the Bile Factory, absolute fucking hate that game with a passion because it was such a deterrent detour. But
I could see that happening if they did something like that with Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
Even if it was the best Metal Gear Solid game ever, and they sort of changed Snake completely. It was all Kiefer Sutherland. Even in the original one, they replaced David Hayter for good. Everyone would absolutely kick up a fuss. But this is the 5th entry. There's 4 games previous to it. No doubt you meet all sorts of interesting characters during those 4 games. It's the big question for some people, because we've not had a numbered Devil May Cry game. It's the first one in 11 years. So 2008 is when Devil May Cry 4 came out. Yeah. So it's been a long time. People may have completely missed the franchise, like me, for example.
Yeah.
Can you dive in at number 5 and keep up with what's going on? Or is it a bit of a mess? Or is it the fact that actually the story isn't really a main driver of the game? It's more about gameplay and whatnot.
No, I was thinking about this today, actually. I think you could and have a good time, but I think you need to know the history. There's when you boot the game up, there is like a sort of history video. It gives you sort of like a 3-minute video of what you've missed.
Okay.
But it's still not enough, I don't think.
Right.
So with the characters that you meet throughout the game and stuff, they obviously have a long history.
Yeah.
The main character, Nero, you'd see him and he's only got one arm. You'd be like, why the fuck has he only got one arm? Yeah. Whereas if you played 4, you'd understand why he's got one game. Right. But it doesn't sort of... It vaguely tells you, but it's... like I say, I think there's enough for you, someone like yourself who's not played any of them, to have a good time with it. But I think there's an enhanced version of it if you've played the previous, not even 4, just the previous 3 games. I think play 1, 3, and 4.
Skip 2, 1, 3, and 4.
Well, even Capcom have already ripped that out of the canon already.
Have they?
Yeah, it was so shit.
Was it?
It's absolute dog shit because the chronological order is fucked up anyway. So it goes 3, 1, 2, 4, 5. So it's a bit messy already. But they just wrote. To completely just rewrite it out. The thing like, nope, that never existed. Wow. It was like one that was like full. It came like a year after the first game and was just utter shite. So they've gone, nope, doesn't exist. I know what you're talking about, mate.
So they don't reference events of Devil May Cry 2.
Nah, nothing. Nothing. No.
So if I go
video, they're like it goes through the game, like the events of 1, the events of 3, the events of 4, but there's no mention of 2. Just gone.
Retcons it. Capcom just doing what they need to do brutally in order to make the chronological and the consistency there for people. Is there a setup you can give to the story for this, or is it how was it even?
Yeah.
You said it's in the chronological order. It's the latest one, so it's not a prequel or anything like that. So it's happened after all the previous games. But what's the setup here? So
pretty much throughout the whole of this series, it's about these 2 brothers, Dante and Virgil, and they're basically demon hunters,
right?
That have come from a family of from like the underworld. It's got this sort of heaven and hell theme throughout the game, and this is what they would make Resident Evil 4 about. So it's a good job they didn't. There would have been a real people would have been like, "This ain't fucking Resident Evil." What's this?
Can you imagine?
So yeah, so it's this thing. The story, it's just a sort of generic. It's like a new story of there's this new foe that's the most powerful and that, and it's about these two, but it's a more grounded story, and it's sort of because of the new setup. There's 3 characters.
Yes.
So the whole story of the game takes place over like 2 days, so it's chopped up. So you'll play a bit of the day as one character. Yeah. Then it will like reverse like 12 hours, and you'll play as the other character, and it starts all meeting up and stuff.
Right, I see.
But yeah, the story's really like it's a really good story when you're comparing it to the other games. Like I say, it's more of a grounded story, and it's not one. The thing with these games is because it's all these, it's like underworld and stuff, and why these characters have got these demon powers and that, it can get a bit sort of overwhelming. You're sort of like, what the fuck's going on here? But like I say, this is a more grounded way. A lot like these newer games are going, God of War and stuff. When you used to play them back in the day, you'd be like, what the fuck? There's some Greek god all of a sudden. Yeah. So this is a lot more grounded. But yeah, I think it's more to the story's more like focused on that it's these 3 characters and how it blends them together and how they work together. That makes it a really decent story, I think.
Okay. Well, it sounds like that's something to sniff about and look at. If you had to describe a genre of this game, is it basically action adventure?
It's action adventure, but hack and slash. Yeah, that has always been the main focus of Devil May Cry.
Biff's worst nightmare.
And this is the meat and potatoes of any DMC game. The stories they're good. They're like, when you boil them down, they're basic stories. Oh, here's a bad man, we got to get him. Blah 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 blah. The pinnacle of these games is the hack and slash, fast paced action. What's the word? Action. Basically, just like the combos and stuff that you do. Just the main focus of the. I can fucking forget. You know what I mean? Yeah, the combat. The combat. It's this game runs at 60, which at native 4K as well, which is fucking impressive.
That is, yeah. Is it? I mean, we'll get on. We might as well roll into presentation performance since that's been bungled there in the rundown. It runs at 60 at 4K. Is it smooth throughout, or are there drops?
The only drops would be in like the cutscene, so I never think that is like game breaking or what's it called. But no, I couldn't tell. I'm sure Digital Foundry will say otherwise. But from what I was playing, it's a solid 60 the whole way through. And when there's like 10 to 15 enemies on the screen and you're hacking and slashing, there's parkour effects going all over the show. I didn't feel any sort of hitches or anything like that, so it's a real solid thing, and I think you need that in this type of game because of the way the combat is, and these games are relatively short in comparison to games like God of War. Like, this is obviously, there's no multiplayer at all in these Devil May Cry games. This is a single player focus only. Actually, I tell a lie. I say no, there's no multiplayer in this game, but there is a new mechanic in it. Because of the way the mission structures are. So you have these missions, go through them from point A to point B. They're sort of dissected into sort of encounters where you'll walk along the mission and then boom, you're into a sort of room where you have to fight a load of enemies. Well, every time you fight them, you have this, and now where I started, stylish rank. Yeah. So you get ranked on how your combat is. So when you're using, you have like your main weapon that you use, which will be your sword, which you can change. Then you have guns, and then you have your like demonic powers and stuff. Well, if you just stick to using one weapon and just sort of button mash that.
Yeah.
Your stylish rank won't go up. It forces you to sort of change it up
Cool.
and make these combos so you get a higher rank.
Yeah.
And that's basically the main sort of almost like fix of the game, is trying to get the highest rank you can doing these combos and stuff.
Nice.
So yeah,
60 FPS required for that level of
I think with these type
play.
of games it needs to be. Yeah, so obviously the older ones, I think they did run at 60, or even on like the PS4 and PS3 and 360. But they always have to be. I think. Yeah. Thing didn't, did it? No, Devil May Cry, God of War didn't.
No, that's true.
But that was a very sort of, this is so much more fast paced compared to that sort of game. This is like God of War on drugs.
So the druggies out there getting on DMC5. So we've mentioned that the frame rate's good, it performs well, no real issues with that.
No.
What about the art style and the core graphics? Does it look? It's in 4K. Does it look as impressive as it is? Because sometimes you get games that are 4K, but the textures aren't that detailed, and when under scrutiny, they look okay. But does the 4K bring this game, further to life? Yeah,
I think this. I'm just trying to think of what I've recently played, but this could be one of the best looking games on PS4 and Xbox at the minute. It's because of this Resident Evil engine, RE engine, or whatever they're calling it. It is insanely realistic, and that's the thing. It did sort of put me off a little bit when I first saw the previews to this game. The sort of character changes they've made. With Devil May Cry 4, the characters were quite sort of cartoony and anime sort of style, so they were quite all like cute looking, and that sounds weird, but they're like everyone's good looking. Because this new Resident Evil engine, it's so realistic that, to be frank, the three main characters are ugly. If you look at them, one looks like Kylo Ren.
Is that V?
Yeah, that's V.
Yeah, I heard that someone was saying that they basically just tried to get Andrew Driver in there.
Yeah, and then Dante, everyone says looks like in Detroit, the cop that you're with. Like the drunk geezer. Yeah. Looks like
Hank.
Fuck
me, he's old and battered. I thought Dante
that's what this one. Dante is like fucking mega old in this one. So it's just so realistic that you just see it, and the facial animations and the character models and stuff is incredible. But the biggest sort of style to this game is definitely like the world. It's like the underworld has taken over our world.
Right.
So it's not actually, it doesn't say anywhere that it's set in London, but when you're playing it looks like London, because you've got like red buses and red phone stuff, and like there's a mission at the beginning. You're walking through fucking what's that place in London where it's got all like the screen? It's like a shit version of Times Square.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah, Piccadilly Circus.
That's it. It's pretty much that.
Yeah,
but it's been overtaken by this sort of underworld. And the real style it's awesome. And in this RE engine, like I say, it's definitely a contender for one of the best looking games.
Yeah,
it's amazing how much detail they've packed into it, and for it to be running. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I was impressed with it when I was playing Resi 2, but Capcom have got something very special there with that engine, because some parts of that game looked amazing. It sounds like Devil May Cry is another cracker, and running at fluid 60, which again Resi 2 was for the most part.
Yeah.
So that engine's definitely proving to
absolute scam.
Having to have matured. Yeah, I mean, it's a shame that bloody Monster Hunter's not on that, because that could do with a fucking overhaul from what I've played so far in terms of graphics. But interesting stuff. So these games themselves, typically you're saying that you want to try and build together combos, and you can do that by using different types of weapons or different styles and build that up.
Yep.
When you go into, how is the game structure? It's not open world.
No.
Is it just like closed off? You do like a level, you go from A to B. There might be some collectibles along the way, but you go from A to B, then you go to the next level. There's no trick there or anything I've missed. It's quite a linear game in that sense.
Yeah, it's very linear. Yeah, they're all very much the same. So there's a set amount of missions, and it's a linear stage that you're going through from A to B. And like I say, you come into these encounters, which is like a sort of a room full up with enemies, clear them down, and then you move on. And typically, each level ends with a boss, and then you get a cutscene at the beginning and the end of each level.
Yes.
The biggest thing for these games as well, throughout, there are a few collectibles to get, but every enemy you kill, you get what's called a red orb. And this, you have to collect as many as you can, and it's throughout these, at the end of each level, you go into a customization screen. You can unlock new moves, new guns, stuff like that. So it's almost like an RPG element, you know, but it's not. You're not sort of defining the character in any way differently. It's just sort of what moves they do.
Right. It's not like you don't like level up Dante or Nero. You're unlocking more options and being able to like splice those together with move sets or whatever.
That's it. So and then sort of 3 missions down the line, you'll unlock a new weapon, and then all of a sudden another skill tree unlocks that you can spend these orbs on.
Yes.
There's a really good weapon that's introduced into the game that to use it spends these red orbs. Right. But if if you use it well, you can earn more red orbs. So it's that sort of gamble that if you're good enough to use it, it's really good. But it's hilarious. You might have seen some of the footage actually. It's like a cowboy hat. Right. And in the game, when he gets it, it's like this massive homage to Michael Jackson. But it could not be the worst time for that to happen. No. So I think there's been a lot in the trailers and stuff that I've seen it, but that is one thing when I just played it, I was like, cool, they did not see this coming, did they?
Yeah, no, I didn't expect that to be fucking released before the game come out. Yeah. Deary me. I was reading somewhere there's like a devil trigger or something like that where you can like pick up new. I don't know if it's just for Nero, because as you said, there's 3 playable characters. Like you can pick up new weapons that you can apply to his arm or something.
Yeah, yeah. So the devil triggers are, but like I say, these characters are sort of demonic and have demon powers. Yeah. So that's sort of like a mode that you can go into, and it's like a bar that you fill up from doing these combos.
Yeah.
And then you can use these. Demo to like deal damage. They're best saved for like when you're getting overwhelmed with enemies or certainly on the boss fights. But each character plays so differently that they all have their own sort of perks and styles of fighting. Whereas Dante is just with his sword and you're basically just using that.
Yeah.
So it's very much close range melee type of character. That V. Him himself, he doesn't actually attack very much. He has these animals, got like a bird and a panther that you sort of summon. And
is he like a necromancer?
Essentially.
Summon like things to do.
Yeah. And then whereas Nero, he, like I say, he's this one-armed character, and you have this new character in the game. I forget her name now. She's quite a fun character, but quite obviously very forgettable because I forgot her name already.
Is that the one in the van?
Yeah, the girl in the van. What is her bloody name? I can't remember. Anyway, she is basically she's the character that builds these arms, and each arm comes with different abilities. So you'll get one that can turn into a rocket, so you can rocket punch. Then one's like a sort of a grappling hook, so you can pull enemies towards you. There's a variety. There's at least about sort of 10 or 15 different arms that you can use, and you pick these up through each level and get different ones and can upgrade them and things like that. So that's the biggest thing with this game is the sort of diversity in the combat. It's by far the best combat in any of the DMC games by far. It's just got to that point where they've been building it since Devil May Cry 1.
Yeah.
And now at that peak where, everything everyone's ever wanted is in there.
Yes. Yeah, I can see they've innovated and refined over the years, and now in 2019 they've produced the 5th entry, which perhaps is the best. It sounds like, from what your description is there, that Nero perhaps is either the focus or has a few more tricks up his sleeve in comparison to Dante or V. Is that true, or do they have their own sort of perks that you can pick up along the way? Like, because I want a rocket punch, but it doesn't sound like if I'm with V, he's going to get anything like that. He's just going to summon a panther.
No, they do. He obviously V, because Nero is sort of the main folk. Well, I say that. No, he's not really. It's more
Grandad Dante.
Grandad Dante is that they've sort of brought it back, because 4 was obviously 4. You played most of the game as Nero, and then towards the back end you played as Dante.
Yeah.
Whereas this is it. You literally are. It's cut into 3 sections, so I think you get enough time to play as all 3.
Right. Okay.
But the thing with this game is, there's not really a one character that I liked more. They each play to their own strengths. But from the outside, probably Nero does have the more exciting moves because of all these different arms you can use.
Yeah.
And if you look at his sword's got like a motorbike revving engine, so you can rev his thing. You can rev his sword up, deal extra damage. But Dante is cool as hell as well, and some of his moves, he has like 4 different styles of fighting. So you have Trickster, assigned to the D-pad, so you can do this all on the fly. This was something that was added in DMC3, but you couldn't do it on the fly. You had to go into the menu and change it. But you have Trickster, which is like a sort of dodging and sort of parrying, essentially. That's if you're that type of gamer, you can switch to that. Then you have Gunslinger, where you're using your guns more. And then Swordmaster, self-explanatory, and another one called Royal Guard, which I didn't really use too much, to be honest, but I've heard that's like the real sick puppies at this game use that a lot, and that's I think basically that is more of a sort of counter-attacking.
Yeah.
So you build up like a meter and can reverse moves and stuff. But I didn't really dabble in that too much, because I think that's for the OGs.
Yeah, the real absolute sickeners. Go on.
I was just going to say it's one of these. It's quite a hard game. There's so many difficulties on this. I was looking at when I find these games, I look at what's called the roadmap of the achievements and stuff. And this game is in the top 5 hardest games to complete ever, I think.
What?
It's a 10 out of 10 rating, because
to get all the trophies and all the achievements.
And all the achievements, because you have to complete it a minimum of 6 times to get it, and you can't. So if I completed it on normal, but that doesn't unlock easy, so I've got to go back and complete it on easy to get that one. And then each time I I complete it on normal, the next one unlocks.
Right.
There's I think there's about 6 difficulties, and the 6th difficulties, which is called Hell on Hell mode, is 1 hit and you're dead.
Oh no, it's the death.
And you're only allowed to fail 3 times, otherwise then you have to start again from the beginning.
Oh my goodness.
So I could probably have a look if anyone's actually platinumed it yet.
They must have. Some sicko must have done.
Do
but I assume you'll be going for that.
I'll have absolute no chance, but I'd love to. I think I'll probably be able to get up to the point of that part being eradicated. So here we go. Let me have a look. There is a 0.1%. And blimey, no, there is. There's 46 people have platinumed it already.
Dirty bastards.
That is insane. But
that is
normally by this sort of time, sort of 12,000 would have.
Yeah.
It. So 46. There are 46 absolute maniacs out there that have done this already. Hackers, probably, if anything.
Yeah, could be cheating the system. When you start, so do you have just like easy, normal, and hard when you first kick off?
That's it. Yeah. Then it goes on to These different modes, Son of Sparta mode, which is a reference in the game, and Hell on Hell mode. But I think the first two are just sort of enhanced. Say like the hard mode is 100 enemies have 100% health and 100% damage. It goes up to like 400%. But then the harder ones it becomes like that. Like you only have one hit, one kill.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, permadeath, which. There's ones with like no checkpoints as well. Which,
come on!
I know. So but that's the hook of this game. It is like trying to get better. And I thought I didn't do too bad. Like with the ranks, I think the lowest I got was like a B.
Okay.
I wasn't doing too bad. I did get like the best one to get is like the S rank, and I think I got 6 S ranks.
Nice. I've heard that one eventually, like you can unlock like double S and triple S.
Yeah.
Ranks.
And that is ridiculously hard to get. That's like not being touched, and But there's puppies out there. You watch the YouTubes and you'll see them absolutely, and you just got to learn the sort of rhythm of the game. But it does make you strive for this, and that's what I was saying earlier. Why these games are quite notoriously short. Normally around the 10-hour mark, 10, 12, something like that. Because they're sort of made for being replayed. You sort of once you finished it, you sort of think, I want to go back now, because everything carries over. So now this it's essentially like a new game plus each time you play it. So now I've completed it, I can start the harder level, but I'm fully equipped with all these new weapons and stuff. So that's the hook. That's what makes it so good.
How long did it take you to do this first run of Devil May Cry 5? Do you know?
This first one, it was on my thing. My clock's about 12 hours.
Okay.
But I did do a couple of missions a few times for achievement purposes.
Gotcha.
So I reckon it's probably around the 10 to 11 hour mark. I reckon.
Nice.
Yeah.
How long are these missions typically? Are they is it like a 15-minute mission or a half an hour mission or an hour? Is there any? Yeah,
there's never too long. No, I think the max should be at about 10, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. It's a game that would work perfect on the Switch, I think. Because you could just sort of pick up, play a level 15 minutes and put it down. Very sort of episodic type game. And I'm surprised that they've never sort of tried to delve down that route. But they're definitely, that's always been the sort of way they do it. But what I'd done is I planned to do 4 missions in a session.
Right.
So I could do however many missions for however in the game. But I worked out 4 a night would do me, and then because I did think that I sort of spent full price on this game, sort of playing it for 12 hours. I was sort of like, oh, well, that's that then, that's done. And I'm not one that typically trades in these games.
No.
Could be a good thing to do, really. But like I say, there's already DLC's been confirmed to be coming out and stuff, so it's stuff to be looking forward to. But the real hook of this game is trying to go back and better yourself. So when the backlog gets smaller, I shall return and give it another bash at a higher difficulty. But
get them triple S's.
That's it. Give it a whirl.
I don't know exactly how this works, or whether it's even something that needs to cross your mind. But when I was reading about the game, there's a couple of areas that mentioned that you can, in fact, spend money on microtransactions. But I wasn't clear how it worked. It seemed to be when you died, you could potentially, if you'd run out of a certain gem,
right? Yeah.
You could buy that gem and then start from where you'd left off, or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, is it not as straightforward as there's a checkpoint and you'll return to that checkpoint if you die? Is it bringing you up with some options in terms of what you can do if you were to fail a mission?
No, I think you collect these. I think the microtransactions are based on these red orbs. I think you can just buy them. So it's essentially like a sort of pay to win, I guess, but it's just pay to upgrade. So you could spend money on getting these orbs and be powerful, but unless you're really skilled, you could still get your ass handed to you. But the other collectible in the game, is called golden orbs, and they're like revive tokens. So when your health goes down and you die, you have the point to either give up. You could spend the orbs. If you have enough, use these gold orbs, or just give up, and it takes you back to the main menu. But yeah, so essentially, if you're buying these gold orbs, it is you buy enough, you won't need to worry. Every time you get beaten, you just press that, and it revives you from where you are, and it refills your health and all your devil trigger gauges and everything.
I got you.
So yeah, I think it did get some criticism for that, and it deserves it, to be honest, because it is a bit of a cheeky thing to do. But I wouldn't say it's that enhancing that I certainly got through the game without needing it.
No,
and they're plentiful, but it's for the people that aren't very good at these games and need that.
The strugglers.
Yeah, the real strugglers.
The absolute strugglers. Do you feel like overall, that the difficulty is well balanced?
Yeah,
in that respect?
To be honest, like I say, I've done really well on normal, and I don't consider myself very good at these games. I struggled playing some of the older entries, so I'd say this is probably one of the easier games.
Okay.
So I'm going to give this hard go, I reckon, this hard mode go, just to see, because I think that probably is where it should be the normal. I think I have seen someone write that before, that the hard mode was probably the sort of standard, because there's these I think it's 6 in total, 6 difficulties.
Yes.
So I think the hard mode is, but no, I'd say this is quite an easy one, and I think they may have done that purposely for people to sort of try and jump in and have a go. Like you say, there's not been one since whenever it was 11 years ago. So if you're coming into this game and thinking, "Fuck me, this is hard," because the combat it is quite tricky to get hang of, these hack and slash games, as Biff knows.
But you on about getting Sekiro.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You hated Bloodborne because it was too hard and it was a bit obtuse. And he's like, I like the look of that. And I was like, well.
Well, so people sometimes compare this, like the combat in these games, to like Souls and that, which. It's nothing really like that. It's you're doing the same sort of moves and using weapons and stuff, but it's so much more fast paced and wouldn't work in that sort of system. But these games are typically quite hard, which I think a lot of them are. Like them Ninja Gaiden games, they're pretty much the original hack and slash games. And some of those that Ninja Gaiden 1 and 2 are some of the hardest games to complete. So I think the DMC franchise as a whole is quite a sort of tricky one to master, but I think the difficulty of this has been shaded down to sort of entice new audiences,
get them stuck in. You mentioned briefly there the combat itself. How does the combat work? Is it all trigger based? Is it face button based, or is it a bit of a mixture? Yeah,
it's a bit of a mixture really. So you have R1 as your lock on, so you're locking onto enemies. Then you have the face buttons as Y as your main sword. X or square, whatever you would be using, would be your guns, and then you're jumping as well with A. And B is dodge. So you're using your face buttons for most, and then the trigger buttons are for changing your weapons. So as you go through, like I said, you unlock a few different weapons, and you can cycle through those on the fly.
Yes,
and you can change it up. It's mainly face button focus, but like I say, there's so much diversity in the combat because of these different weapons and different devil triggers you get, which sort of enhance you, and the guns you can charge at. I think like you got the best thing is to do these combos is basically to try and juggle them in the air as quick as you can, sort of knock them up into the air and then sort of chuck a shoot in there. It's really good. And then once you kill the last enemy each time, it goes into the last hit goes into like a slow motion explode. It does, and sort of then you get your stylish ranking after that. So it's typically all three characters work the same in that sense of the way the combat works, but the three characters themselves are so different to one another. They do. It is, you're not just playing a reskinned character, which is the main focus of the old games. The old games, you just play through the campaign as a character. Then once you completed that,
do the same thing again with different character.
Whereas this one, you go through the same mission. There's a couple of missions where you can choose which character to play as.
Oh.
So I've done that, and that's what I was saying earlier on. I replayed a few missions, but you're not doing the same route. They have their own version, and you're fighting different enemies, and it all connects up together. Like I say, it's real. They've done it really cleverly. It's not on the lengths of like GTA 5 of how they managed to, but in a sort of short and sweet story like this is, it's really cleverly done that the three work so well together, and it's not just reskins.
No, yeah, I mean that's one of my criticisms of Resi 2 was around the dual campaign, and it wasn't. It sounds like here Devil May Cry has done what I wanted them to do and made them separate, but also sort of cross over and come together in interesting ways. So. Why couldn't Capcom be talking to each other and say, "Wait, get that sorted for Resi 2"? I need to know a little bit more about this V character.
Yeah,
and because you mentioned that he doesn't really do anything. Well,
no,
I'm sure he does, but it sounds from the outset that you're summoning things and just standing back. But how does he fit into this fast-paced hack and slash when he's primarily a summoner? Yeah,
the unfortunate thing for this review is I can't really talk about him too much because he is known as the mysterious one.
Right.
So I can't give you too much away as to who he is or what he does. So
I know who he is. I've guessed.
I'm afraid you're gonna have to play the game to find out. But he's a character that's not. He's not sort of your typical DMC. Like I say, he's always fast-paced action games.
Yeah.
And now this one, you're sort of sitting back and chucking out your summons. So
do you aim where the summons go?
Yeah.
Is that sort of the skill? You got to try and get them. You don't just like summon them; they come up 5 meters in front of you. You kind of like aim.
You have a lock on this game on the R1 button. So you choose which enemy to summon them, and each summon has its own sort of stamina bar as well. So if you're just button mashing, they'll summon their stamina would deplete, and then they go into like a sort of stasis mode where you can't use them. So you're literally fucked. Then you got nothing. You can't attack yourself. Well, you have a cane actually that you can hit someone with, but it does fucking damage.
Old man's cane, last resort.
Yeah. So. You've got to use them resourceful, and like I say, this game's always about changing it up and sort of not button mashing.
Yes.
So that he's a very hard character to. Hold on, I'm saying the wrong thing because he's fucking quite easy to. I was getting like triple S combos with him at one point.
Okay.
Because he's quite easy to combo with, but he's a difficult character than you're used to in this DMC.
Yeah,
thing.
he sounds like the biggest sort of the difference between the other two. It sounds like a completely different play style.
Yeah, it's a nice change of pace, and like I say, he is the mysterious one. So you really have. I can't really sort of delve into who he is and what he is. You have to play the game to find out who the mysterious one is, but he's an interesting character, and I think you should play it because you'll be surprised.
Well, I'm up for playing this for sure and finding out the mysterious secrets of V. Is it ever a struggle switching between the characters, between levels? Like, do you ever get you got used to Dante and now you've got to play as Nero and you're like, I can't remember some of his moves. Does that ever get hard?
It does, yeah. I think I've read that you're playing an equivalent amount of time, but I did feel like there was a lot of Dante towards the back end of the game, and then when like you say, you do switch back to Nero. I certainly felt like I liked Dante more, or sort of felt like I was getting better with Dante because of his variety of different weapons. He's by far the one that has the most weapons and most. But then you've got Nero with all these different arms. There's some DLC. There's a DLC one called like the Pasta Maker or something. I didn't get it, but it's useless apparently. You just watch him eat pasta. But there's one I really wanted was the Mega Man one. You can get the Mega Man Buster,
right?
Yeah, and shoot things out of his arm. But I didn't delve into the DLC, unfortunately. But yeah, it's quite fun. But yeah, you do sort of, once you start doing a few missions as one character, you do sort of forget a little bit of how to, because they do, like I say, they play so differently to each other. It's remembering how to do those combos, but with sort of 5 minutes into a bit of combat, it sort of starts flooding back.
It's like that Dying Light, isn't it? It all comes flooding back once you play it after 18 months of not playing it. No matter how archaic the control scheme seems on paper. Right, any other business with Devil May Cry 5? Anything that's you've not had a chance to mention that's stuck out, or little quirks, or any negativity, anything at all that hasn't fitted into any of our discussions thus far?
No, just the music's pretty cool. Remember the theme tune to it? I think they played it at was it E3 or one of them? It had this Devil Trigger song.
Devil Trigger.
That's it. Yeah, they always have these sort of cheesy techno, sort of Japanese rock music songs. That's pretty cool. But yeah, it's got this sort of like, when the action kicks off, you get some like heavy metal kicking in and stuff. So the music's always been pretty good in these games and sort of amps you up for this fast-paced action. And it doesn't disappoint in this game. It is a continuing of it. But other than that, I think mostly, I was really impressed with the story and the way the characters were. Yeah, like I say, the combat is definitely its bread and butter of this game. The microtransactions didn't really, they didn't.
They've not designed the game around you needing to use it. I guess it is there for people that want to. Yeah, it's not like they've purposely made it ridiculously hard or grindy in that sense.
No, that's right. Oh,
that's the important thing.
I was saying earlier. Completely missed this bit out. The games have never been multiplayer, but they do have this type of multiplayer aspect that they've now added into this game. Whereas in some of the missions, like I said, you can choose between each character. Yes. When you play as one character, there'll be another player playing as the other character going through your level as well, and you can watch them whilst you're playing at the same time. It's almost like a bit of a sort of like a ghost mode on Trials, that? Yeah. It's like that, but I'm pretty sure it's live, because at the end of the mission, you get the gamer tag, the person come up, and you can like rate their style. But it's like, I've been focusing on the mission myself, man. I ain't got time to watch your fucking shit.
And does that give them anything if you rate them highly?
Yeah, it gives them these gold orbs that revive.
The revive ones?
Yeah, the revive ones. So I was dishing them out left, right and centre. I didn't watch them, but yeah, that's a new mechanic that they've never done. And I think it's to sort of watch, so you sort of if you get stuck on a bit or something, you can go back and sort of watch that. Yeah. But there was a couple of missions where you sort of meet up and then there's a big room full of enemies and you've got the two of you in there fighting. Right. But it's not the whole mission, so it's not really a multiplayer. What's it called? It's just this sort of added mechanic they've added pretty much to get these gold orbs. Really, you also get them gold orbs for logging into the game each day, so they are dishing them out quite abundance. But yeah, they're more what it's about.
Interesting. They're sort of like an extension to what they did in Bloodborne, where you could see like these people, I think they're called spectres, and it's like where someone died typically.
That's right.
It would show them, and it'd always scare the shit out of you because you think it was a fucking enemy, and it would end up being a spectre. Yeah. But they also leave those notes on the floor that you can read, and then you can like rate people whether it's a good note or a bad note. I think if you got someone whilst you're alive rating you as a good note, you got like a hill in your game. So if you left a note and someone rated it as good, you'd get that, which I thought was always interesting. This sounds like a bit of an extension of that. Yeah. Is it distracting seeing the other ghosts roaring around? Or
not normally, because it's not, like I say, the missions are they sort of go off in their own separate directions. So you start off and you'll see them attacking like an enemy, and then you'll go into a different room and they're gone for like half the mission. Then all of a sudden you'll walk across a bridge or something, and you'll see them running at the bottom of it. So they're sort of entwined, but it's not. It's not too distracting or anything. I didn't really notice it so much. Like I say, I was focusing so much on my own enemies that I never really sat there and watched. It was a bit of a nothingy mechanic, but it's quite fun that they've added it in. But no, I just thinking as well with this game, so much focus on like the cutscenes in this game. It's one of these games that like sometimes people like watching them as movies, don't they, on YouTube.
Yeah.
It lends itself so well to that sort of thing. I could see them.
I'll just watch it then.
Yeah, exactly. I think the cutscenes are so high quality. They're so fun to watch. Like the characters, there's almost a sense of cheese to these characters.
Yeah.
But it's that much. It's so cool, you know. Yeah, it's thing. But just this RE engine and that, and like these fun cheesy characters, the blend of it together, just it's the Brent fingers together.
It's the melting pot.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's hear what your any closing thoughts are, and then your official grading for Devil May Cry 5 2019.
So yeah, my final thoughts on the game is this game is excellent. It's a culmination of all the games put together. The expansion of where they started, they've really sort of flourished out all the combat and the sort of quality of life elements you get with the game. Things that you didn't like in the first game, they've been ironed out. The story, it's serviceable, and you know it's a likable story. I don't think anyone's going to be saying it's a poor story by any stretch. But you're not getting the emotional connection of a game like God of War or anything like that. But it's the way the three characters connect. This is the first time they've ever done this in a DMC game. Yeah. And it was a gamble because, you know, people like playing as Dante. That's all they really want to play as. But it was enough that it seems to have paid off. I worry that people like yourselves won't be as invested in the story if this is your jumping on point.
Mate, I'll be watching those catch-up videos.
That's the thing.
We're watching those video game movies.
I think if you was to do that, that would be a lot better in giving you a sense of who these characters are and what the world is about, rather than just chucking yourself in at the deep end.
Yeah.
But I think that the game on its own merit is good enough to service someone having a good time if they're into this action adventure hack and slash genre. So yeah.
Genre. So what is Devil May Cry 5's official grading?
I will be giving the Devil May Cry 5 a 9 out of 10.
Lovely jubbly. Gold seal of approval for Devil May Cry 5. Sounds excellent in honesty. I was going to ask you because you've also played Bayonetta and Bayonetta 2.
Yes.
And I dare say there's maybe similarities. They're sort of another
very,
action.
very, very similar. I'm surprised some of the devs that are at Platinum are not part of these. I wouldn't know if they are or not, but yeah, those games are so alike and so high quality that they must be. There must be a few in there talking, or at least spilling the beans to each other.
Yeah.
But again, they're just weird, quirky cheesiness. It's so alike. It could be part of the same universe. But
maybe that'd be a crossover one day.
That would be so good. That would be incredible.
That's what people would want. Out of the two franchises, have you got a preference? I know Bayonetta is a bit more recent.
Yeah,
Cry's been running for fucking nearly 20 years now.
Yeah, I suppose it probably would be DMC just because of how much I liked 4 and 5. I really enjoyed 3 as well, and 1. But 2 is dog shit. But I think just it has that sort of nostalgic feeling of playing, and I'm more warm to the characters. Whereas when I'm playing Bayonetta, I'm just wanking at the same time because she's so
distracting.
So distracting, them titties bouncing everywhere. But no, that's not taking no discredit to Bayonetta. They're incredible 2 games that need to be played. But yeah, I think the MC does just edge it for me, just because Dante's such an iconic badass.
Yeah. I mean, was there a worry that, because I know in reading people's opinions of the last game, some people were a bit annoyed that Nero took centre stage.
Yeah.
Was there ever a worry that Dante might get stuffed to the side again?
I did wonder that. To be honest, I did quite like Nero in 4. Like I say, I'm still undecided whether 4 or 5 is my favourite game because I love 4 so much. 4 was my favourite until playing this. I think it might be on par, so I don't want to pick between the two. But like I say, I did enjoy Nero playing as him. But with this, I did think, well, we've had Nero. Come on, I want to play as Dante again now. And I feel like there was enough Dante for me not to worry about it. There was a worry there, but the worry was ironed out. Capcom doing it. They have been since RE7 now. Fucking just dishing out gold.
Isn't it?
Gold after gold.
It really is absurd. We've had Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 2, Monster Hunter World, and now Devil May Cry 5. What on earth have they done to turn this around? Because it wasn't so long ago that you see a Capcom game, you'd be like,
yeah, exactly.
What's that? Like after Resident Evil 6 and
after 6, then even Street Fighter 5.
That
first come out.
Wasn't smooth.
That wasn't smooth. No, they made some big changes to that game, making it sort of more for the esports people and less for the sort of arcade players like me. Then they go and chuck out a newer version, which they said they wouldn't. That gets the praise. And then since then, they've just been fucking absolute smashing it. So, be interesting to see what they got next. I don't know what else. There was another Mega Man game in the middle of all this thing, which I didn't really delve into that, but I think there's people that like that.
There was actually. I remember I didn't get a chance to play it,
but these AAA titles, I know probably think is a triple. I don't know if Mega Man is AAA, is it?
AAA. Well, depends on your perspective.
Yeah, the fanboys will go fuck it is.
They're going mad already. They've already chucked it in.
But I don't know what else they've got. What have they got? They've got quite a few franchises they can delve into. They still own Dead Rising. What did they go out?
Oh, I don't know actually.
1 and 2 were.
Yeah, I can't remember if they did.
They chuck it after
Dead Rising 4. I think they did do 4.
Did they?
Yeah. Again though, that was part of like what are Capcom doing?
Yeah.
Like Dead Rising 1, I think I enjoyed. Dead Rising 2, I enjoyed. 3, I didn't like. I think that was a launch title on the 3. Oh no, it was on the Xbox One.
Yeah, it was.
Xbox One, wasn't it? Yeah. And then 4, I just was not interested in by that time.
No.
But they've had some. That's another distinct that's sort of gone wrong. You've had the Ace Attorney stuff from them.
Oh yeah.
If you go back far enough, Dino Crisis was.
Oh, cool, yeah. Oh, get one of them out in that fuck.
Mate, can you imagine that in that RE engine?
That would be incredible. Yeah. What about that Lost Planet one as well? They had that.
I never played that. I heard it was okay, but a bit repetitive and didn't quite live up to it.
No, but definitely worth a pop, isn't it?
Yeah.
This new fucking while they're on a thing, just smash it out. I just had a quick look while we were talking. They do still own the rights to that Dead Rising, so.
Oh, do they?
Yeah. It looks like they lost it. So they got it back. They sold the rights to Microsoft in 2000. They started in 2006, sold it to Microsoft in 2011, and then
get it back.
2017 they bought it back. So
trying to resurrect it.
Yeah, so you never know.
But no, it's been a great sort of 12, 18, maybe even 2 years now for Capcom. Who have just come out of the fire and released just 4 cracking games on this generation lately. And impressed and looking forward to see what they do in the future.
Yep.
And we'll try and get my hands on this Devil May Cry 5 and squeeze it in for sure, because it has been missed in the past, and there's a chance to rectify it here.
Yep.
Get on the bandwagon and get ready for 6, which I'm assuming they'll do at some point in the future. But there you go.
Milk that cash cow.
Absolutely. Get that out. Get the next one out now. But there you go then. Devil May Cry 5. 9 out of 10. Gold seal of approval. If you're a fan of this genre, no excuse to miss it. If you're a fan of this franchise, no excuse to miss it. And if you're not a fan of either of them, perhaps just give it a spin. Seemingly reasonably easy to pick up with a more inclusive game, I guess, in that sense. More accessible version of the game, whereas others perhaps may have put people off. But I think it's another good step for Capcom, and long may this resurgence of their brand continue. But nothing more for us to say though, apart from thanks for your time and ta-da.